Welcome, welcome. Fantastic to have you here at Nuts and Bolts. We do this every week. So we've got a great session on for you today. We're going to talk about what do you do when your team's not listening to you? If you feel like you're not getting heard, if you're stating some facts or figures or a change of policy or something's coming through and people, it just doesn't seem to be, taking into account what you're saying. So it can be really, really frustrating. So there's a couple of things here that I want you to ponder or question to yourself to determine if you have done this to help you set you up for success, to be listened to and taken seriously. So this is a big bugbear for new managers. The team, they've got to build that credibility. It's not an immediate sort of given that you're going to have credibility as their leader. So you need to build that up. And part of that building it up is, trying to make some decisions or make some focus changes or changes in direction and then getting listened to by the team. Really, really, really important stuff. And I often get emails from leaders saying, my team's just not listening to me. They don't listen to what I say. Nothing's actioned of what I say. So I'm going to go through it today and we're going to just ask a few questions of yourself about, how you can get your team to listen to you a little bit more. So great to have you today. Remember, if you've got a question for me, email me at ask@teamleadertoolkit.com and I will make a short video of it and send it out to the world and everybody will get an answer to that question. So I think it's a great thing that we're doing here. All right. So the 10 things that you can do when your team is not listening to you, which is really, really common. So let's get rolling with it. Okay. So number one, do you say what you're trying to say in different ways? Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, have you just said it once in a meeting and then expect everybody to follow? Because that's not going to be enough. Okay. So if you've got some sort of policy or procedural change, you need to try at least 3 different ways to convey that information. So one might be in a team meeting. Fair enough. The second one might be one-on-one when you're having your one-on-one catch-ups with your team members. And the third one might be an email. You could also do a poster on the notice board or something. But then there has to be at least 3 different ways that you're going to give that information. So if it's a change in procedure, you're going to do it face-to-face, you're going to do it one-on-one, you're going to do it via email, you're going to post something on the notice board, you're going to do a multiple number of actions to ensure that that message is picked up. Because remember, on your team, you've got visual people, kinesthetic people, auditory people, read-write people, all different people that take on information in a different way. So we need to cater for all of those. So make sure you ask yourself the question, do you say it in different ways? And if the answer is no, then that's something that you need to start doing now. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, do you say it often enough? So there's been multiple studies done with regards to people taking on information, and they have to hear the same information between 10 and 12 times before it actually settles in the brain. 10 or 12 times. Unbelievable, I know. So if you're going to say it in 3 or 4 different ways, a poster on the notice board, an email, a one-on-one chat, a meeting, so that's 4 different ways, but you have to repeat that at least 3 or 4 times. So a follow-up email, a follow-up meeting, a follow-up, hey, remember, Joey, we said that we're going to change that procedure come Monday, just giving you a little reminder. Those sorts of things. Another different poster on the board saying, hey, remember, it's happening on Monday. So you have to repeat that information over and over again. At least if you're going to have 3 or 4 different ways that you're going to convey this information, you have to do that 3 or 4 times as well, okay? Sounds like an overkill. I know it does. But believe you me, if you're not doing those things, you are not going to be listened to. And it's not because people are intentionally ignoring you. Maybe there might be a few that are doing that. But some of them are just, it's the information going in one ear and out the other, and it hasn't settled yet. So try and do these different things. So the other things you have to do, so that's 2. Number 3, do you check for understanding? So have you actually stopped and said, hey, we're changing this procedure. Do you understand why we're doing this? Ask the questions. Do you understand why this is happening? Do you understand what this is going to do for us? Have a multitude of questions. Write yourself out 4 or 5 questions so that you can ask people. Do you understand, why we're bringing this in? So it could be that you're changing your procedure with what PPE you wear, the personal protective equipment. So maybe you're now having to wear, safety glasses in the workplace. So check for understanding of why that procedure is coming in by asking really good questions during those meetings, during those one-on-ones. Why you're having a coffee in the cafeteria and see a couple of your people there, why you're walking past people in the hallway, those sorts of things. Really, really important to check for understanding that people understand what that procedure is, okay, and the reasons behind it. So we need to dial up the why. And when I say dial up the why, what are the benefits? Why are we doing this? Oh, we're having these safety glasses now because remember how Johnny had that accident a couple of months ago and nearly lost an eye? So we've looked into that and we've realised that can happen again. So we don't want anyone else to get hurt. So this is the reason why this policy is coming in. What is the reasons why this is coming in? You can't just bring in a policy, expect everybody to take it on board and not know why they're doing it. Okay, so make sure that that's in part of your communication of why this new venture, project, policy, procedure, whatever it may be, is coming into the workplace. And just careful about, are you inviting them to be part of this, or are you just ordering them to do it? So I know for safety, we have to be really quite conscious about, this is not really an option. People can't decide to wear safety glasses or not, but you can still use language that gives people the opportunity to, get involved with it. So just be careful that it's from Monday at 8 a.m. we will be wearing safety glasses. Bang. That's pretty much an order. And yes, I spent 20 years in the military and I've heard lots of orders. But let me tell you, you take people on a journey if you can change that language a little bit. Hey, due to Johnny's accident a couple of months where he nearly lost an eye, we've brought into the program that we will wear safety glasses. So as of Monday, you'll all be issued with safety glasses and we can wear them in the workplace to ensure that we're safe. All of a sudden, it doesn't become an order. It's more like, hey, yes, I can come on that journey because it's an invite. You know what I mean? So it just makes a real world of difference what language you use. So just watch that. And do you know what matters to them? So this is number 6. So let's reiterate what we've done. So do you say it in different ways? Do you say it often enough? Have you checked for understanding that they know why it's coming in? Have you dialed up the why and told them what the benefits are? Are you ordering or inviting them to partake in this new change? And the other thing is, do you know what matters to them? So if something that you're bringing in conflicts with someone's values, they'll be less inclined to follow or listen. So just make sure that whatever the procedure or policy that you're bringing in isn't something that's going to clash with somebody's values or deep beliefs. Okay, so just make sure what matters to them. So, for example, somebody might have a deep belief around, doing live presentations in front of people. They might be really, really introverted and find that really, really uncomfortable. And then you come in with a new policy saying every week, everybody is going to take it in turns to get up and do a presentation to the team. You might find that some people might push back on that because it doesn't sit well with them. They don't see the benefits in it. They're full of fear. It'll have conflict with their values, all those sorts of things. So make sure you understand what matters to people so that you can make sure that you dial that up as well. All right, number 7, do you have credibility with the team? Now, credibility, as I said before, is built. It's not an automatic given. So we have to make sure that the team already think that, yes, you know what you're talking about, and yes, you care for them, and yes, all these things are really, really important. Because if they don't have trust with you, if you haven't built credibility with them, it's going to be really hard for you to get them to listen to you. Okay, so have a think about, how do I build credibility with my team? And it's all about being you, being authentic, being genuine, making sure you communicate often, giving people a chance to have a say or have a chat. building relationships through one-on-ones, all those sorts of things helps you build that credibility. So if you come in and day one of leading a team say, hey, we're going to change the world, this is what we're going to do from now on, you can bet your bottom dollar that some people are going to push back on that and they're not going to listen to you. So it's just something to keep in mind, credibility. Remember, credibility is built. It's not just automatically anointed to you. Okay, number 8, do you listen to them? Do you listen to them? So when Johnny had that accident and he nearly lost an eye, you know, did you go to the guys and say, hey, you guys are all right? Johnny's in the hospital. He's going to be okay. He's going to keep his vision. Thank goodness, blah, blah, blah. Hey, we're thinking about, you know, there's talks about bringing on a policy to have extra PPE so this doesn't happen to anybody else. What are your thoughts about it? So do you listen to them? Because that's really important. Listening is a two-way street. So if you could have those conversations at the beginning when the rumours or the conversations start happening about changing PPE, if we can have those conversations early in the piece, that change is going to be a whole lot easier. So if you can bring it back to that and say, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think this is going to work? Some people might go, oh, no, we had that years ago and it didn't work. No one used it and no one did this and all that sort of stuff. And you can get all that smelly fish, all those bugbears, all those issues that people have got on the table early and deal with them one by one, you know, before you get to the, hey, the policy is now this, because it's too late by then. So making sure that you have listened to them as well. Number 9, do you speak their language? So it's no good getting up in front of them and speaking this high level full of acronyms and, you know, big words and all that. Are you speaking the language that really makes them listen? So we can talk about Johnny nearly losing an eye. We can talk about the health and safety of our workmates. We can talk about looking after each other when we're on the lines or on equipment or whatever, because that's talking their language. But if you start talking about the compliance and this and that, well, you know, that might actually not be very impactful for them. So making sure that you use language that really resonates with your team is going to be really, really advantageous for you. And the last but not least, number 10, is this what you really want? So I've seen some leaders try so hard to make a good name of themselves and get themselves to be seen that they bring things in, but when they really, really think hard about what they really want, it's really self-serving. They want to look good. They want to change something because then they can say that they were successful where there's no real result or benefits of that change for the team. So really, really take a look. Obviously, if it's a health and safety one, like the example we've been using, absolutely, of course, it's going to be advantageous for the team because it's their health and safety that we're all concerned about. But if it's a policy or procedure that you're bringing in because you think it's going to get you accolades with the boss, or you think that, you know, you're going to get noticed or whatever else, then just be really, really careful with doing that, because if your team sniff any sign that you're working for yourself and not working for the team or the company as a whole, then they will just lose credibility and you'll lose trust. And then you'll have to start from day one again. Okay, so that's really, really important to have a think about. Why are you doing this? Why is this change coming in? Why is this policy coming in? And all that sort of stuff. And if it's for the right reasons, absolutely go for it and follow those other 9 things that we were talking about. If it isn't, recalibrate and have another think about it. So just quickly, number 1, say it in different ways. Email, posters on the notice board, one-on-ones, meetings. Say the same thing in different ways, okay? Number 2, make sure you say it often enough. People have to hear something or see something 10, 12 times before they take it on. I know it sounds like an overkill, but make sure you do it. That's number 2. Number 3, check for understanding. So whatever policy and procedure you're coming in, do they understand why it's there? Do they understand what they have to do or what's going to change? Make sure you check for understanding. Have 4 or 5 questions all set up, ready to ask. Number 4, have you explained and dialed up the why? The reason we're doing this is so nobody gets hurt like Johnny did. You're dialing up the benefits, dialing up the why. Number 5, are you ordering them or are you inviting them? Changing your language. Yes, it's not optional, this particular thing, but you can still invite somebody to come on the journey with you. And number 6, do you know what matters to them? So it's nothing that's actually going to conflict with their own values or internal beliefs. So just make sure that we don't do that. Number 7, do you have credibility? Remember, that has to be built. Credibility has to be built with your team. It's not something that's automatically anointed. Number 8, do you listen to them? So have you gone through that change process where you get all that smelly fish, all those issues, all those barriers on the table early in the piece? So by the time the change comes around, it's an easier transition. Number 9, speak their language. So make sure you don't make it all compliance driven with all this big, the Australian Act of 1978 says that we have to do blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is all about speaking the language that's really going to resonate and make a difference for them. And last but not least, make sure that this is not self-serving to you, that you're making these changes because you're caring for the team, or this is a policy that's come down from head office and you don't have any influence over it, something like that. It's not a change for change's sake because you want to make a name for yourself, okay? So I'll just put that out there. All right, so those 10 things, hopefully, if you can follow those 10 things, you might find a shift where people are actually doing what you're telling them to do, because you're inviting them, because you're saying it multiple times, because you're listening, you're taking on other people's perspectives, all those sorts of things makes a world of difference. So I hope that helps, and make sure you tune into next week. We have got a beauty next week, and it's an email that came through at ask@teamleadertoolkit.com. So if you've got a question, make sure you send it through the email. And it was all about, how do I deal with somebody loud that's in the office? They're driving me crazy. I can't concentrate on what I'm doing. Woo, we've all had one of those, haven't we? And I've got a story to share with you about my experience with a loud coworker. So we're going to talk about that next week. So make sure you keep dialing in, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss our weekly updates, and I will speak to you then. Have a fantastic rest of the week and a brilliant weekend. Bye for now.